So we have Rosecliff Acquisition Corp 1, so still trading as units, RCLFU. Can you walk us through this SPAC and kind of the target areas that you're looking for with a merger deal here?
Sure. So, back to the team again, I think the low-hanging fruit here for us is consumer tech. But when I use that term very broadly, consumer tech, obviously direct to consumer. But aside from that, there's also fintech. There's also insurance tech. There's also health tech or telemedicine, if you will. There's also just straight software deals. So when we say consumer tech, we're looking at it in a very broad sense, in that anything that you, the consumer, would be sitting at home and using. So it's not narrow, but that's by design, because again, we meet a lot of different companies in a lot of different sectors. But the one thing that all of the companies we're speaking with will have in common, it's that it's a team that it's a great private company run by a great team that looks at me and my team and says, hey, I want to partner with those guys because they can obviously take us to the public markets. But then looking out 5 years, they can help us become a 15 or 20 or $25 billion company with their expertise in marketing or expertise in public market financials or expertise in dealing with Wall Street and getting the right analyst coverage. So it's going to be a team that believes in us as much as we believe in them. And we're looking at a true partnership and not a pop to 12 or 13 on an announcement, but really a long-term differentiated company that 5 years out can be worth a lot more than where it is today.
Awesome. So, you hinted at it with Wheels Up a little bit, not trading, as well after the deal. You just said, with your own SPAC, focusing on that long-term plan with whatever company you acquire. So obviously SPACs, huge story in 2020. We saw these huge 21, we're getting more normalized around that $10 level. What's your overall thoughts on the SPAC market for 2021? Do we have too many SPACs out there? Are we going to see, some not complete deals? What is it going to take to maybe bring some more stability to the SPAC market that we had in 2020?
I think you're going to have some bad deals. I think you're going to have some deals fall apart. I think you're going to have some SPACs fail. Are there too many? I'll say, quote Bill Parcells, when they asked him if his team was better than 8-8 with the Giants, he said the record doesn't lie. So we have as many SPACs out there now, 600 or so. So that's where we are. But now they will be chasing companies. So there'll be some deals that are done that aren't priced correctly. So some of these things, as an investor at home, you can't just buy a SPAC because it's a SPAC any more than you can just buy an IPO because it's an IPO. There'll be some going to public markets. There'll be some failures. And to me, 26 years in the public markets, that's the way it's always been. And that's the way it should be. But I think the reset that we've seen here recently is actually very healthy because now looking at most SPACs priced around the $10 range, it's getting away from the hype that was there, where people were chasing companies. Individual investors, for the most part, were bidding up certain SPACs on the idea or hint or rumor of who they may merge with. And ultimately, that's not a game that I think individual investors are going to win. So really, you guys were touching on it earlier, that investing in a SPAC is just like investing in a microchip company or a grocer, or pick a company, pick a sector. It's really investing in a company that's going to fundamentally hit or exceed their projections that they've given to Wall Street. So it's the hype, I think, can, if anything, can hurt people because it can get them into a situation where they're chasing things based on the hype and the FOMO, fear of missing out, rather than actually fundamentals. So I think, long story short, though, you have a lot of very talented people with a lot of great experience in the SPAC market. So I think it's going to be a great conduit, a great mechanism for private companies to come to the public markets where people can invest in them.